Greetings everybody, happy Sunday morning. I'm here with a brand new knife that I'm about to sharpen for the first time. This is a Yoshikazu Tanaka Gyuto 240mm blade length in blue steel number 1. You can see the shinier core steel near the edge of the knife where it meets the iron cladding. This is an extremely beautiful knife. It has a rosewood handle. The grind is exquisite. This is not a cheap knife by any means. The fit and finish is absolutely gorgeous. The choil and spine are just immaculate. The profile of the knife has a little bit more curve in the belly than you see with many Gyutos, so it will lend itself well to a lot of traditional Japanese cuts. Plus, if you like to do a little rock chopping with the heel, this might be a good shaped Gyuto for someone that likes a little bit more of a European type cutting profile and is used to more of a rocking type action with a knife. The grind on this thing is ridiculous. Literally the only single solitary minor shortcoming about this knife out of the box is that the edge isn't that sharp, and that's fine because I like to sharpen my new knives anyway, put my own edges on them. But I do want to show you it's not terrible. I mean, the knife will cut things, but if we go against the grain, it gets into a little catching and not quite so perfect. So I'm just going to touch this up a little bit today before I use it. It actually cut better today than I did when I first pulled that out of the box, so I don't know what's up with that. But it's the edge is sharp, but it's not ridiculously sharp. It will definitely cut things. So I'm going to do just a very quick initial sharpening job on this one today. I've got my Swarho Dabato 1000 grit stone here, so I'm gonna, and I don't know exactly what angle this edge was sharpened at. There's a little bevel down there. It was certainly sharpened, but I'm gonna go ahead and put my own angle on this, and I'm gonna do this about 9 to 10 degrees per side. I think I will be just fine for this knife. I don't think I really need anything shallower than that. The knife is very, very thin down behind the edge, and I think a 9 to 10 degree per side bevel is going to be just fine. It's raising a burr very nicely already. Tanaka-san is renowned for his treatment of blue number 1 steel, and he gets it quite hard, 63 to 64 on the Rockwell scale. Which means that the steel will not abrade on the stones quite as quickly as if it were softer, but you can see already the black swarf building up on the whetstone, and it's definitely cutting the steel. I'll make sure I have a good burr all the way down, and now I do, except just right, need a little more right in the heel. Not looking to spend a lot of time on this 1000 grit stone. Honestly, I probably could have started on the 4000, no problem. However, assuming that I am probably starting at a slightly different sharpening angle than was done on there originally, I decided to go ahead and begin with 1000 grit, because then if I were using a slightly lower angle, then the stone would make pretty short work of creating the new bevel. This side went pretty quickly except for a little bit right here in the belly, so let me do one more pass on the left side. And hopefully move on to the fine stones very quickly here. Alright, that feels great. Time to move on. That was fast. Knife already had a good bevel on it. I'm going to clean the stones later. I may clean the last stone here on camera if this doesn't go overly long, just so y'all can kind of see how that process works. But this is my 4000 grit Suero de Bato, and we're just basically repeating the exact same procedure from the last stone now. A little bit lighter pressure as you get into the finer stones. Erasing the burr from the last stone, flipping the new smaller finer burr back over to this side of the knife, which I think I've already done, but I'm going to go ahead and do one more light pass. Since it's the first sharpening, and I want to make sure, by the way, pay no attention to the cat yowling and racing back and forth in the background. It's playtime. And he doesn't have quite the appreciation for a razor sharp edge that I do, which means he feels free to demand play when I know that it's time to sharpen the knives. Okay, got a very beautiful burr now all the way down. Tiny bit more just right here, one little spot. Got it. Okay. Back over to the left side of the knife. I forgot to put my 8000 grit stone in the water, so let me just stop and do that real quick. My Nanawa Snow White 8000 grit really benefits from soaking in the water for just a couple of minutes before I start using it. That feels pretty good already, actually. So let me do one more very, very light pass on the left side here. So funny that the knife out of the box didn't seem that sharp. The paper cutting wasn't, it was okay, but it wasn't nearly as clean as it was just now. Of course, it's like a law of nature when you actually go to make a video and you want to show how dull a knife is before you sharpen it, then it acts sharp. I was trying to show some friends in one of my groups one time the way that I sharpen asymmetrical double bevels, and so I selected one of my Gyutos that has an asymmetrical bevel to demonstrate with, and it did need to be sharpened, but it wasn't that dull, and I decided to let's clean this stone while the other one is soaking. I'll continue to start. So this is a cleaner stone, by the way. This is a Nanawa cleaner stone. You soak it in water, and then you see all this black stuff on the stone. So when you're done sharpening and you want to clean that off, you just swirl this around, and this removes all that black gunk and refreshes the surface of the stone, and also smooths out any little minor irregularities in the surface, so that it's clean it flat for next time, like this. And you rinse it off, and you have nice clean stone for next time. Set that aside. So anyway, so I grabbed one of my Gyutos, and this stone needs a little dressing before I use it, so we'll do that. So I grabbed one of my Gyutos that has an asymmetrical double bevel, and like I said, it already needed to be sharpened. It was due for sharpening, and but I wanted to make sure it was really dull. So I took my my red brick here that it's sharpened on, and I sliced a knife through it about 20 or 30 times, right edge first, right into the brick. And I thought, surely that'll be dull. So I start the video and grabbed a piece of paper to show how dull the knife was, and I cut the paper like butter. So I had to stop the camera and go back and dull it significantly more before it was finally dull enough to sharpen. So anyway, that's my funny story for the day. Pretty good edge retention on that particular knife. Okay, this is the Nanawa Snow White 8000 grit. This will be the last stone today, and I'm going to begin by replicating the sharpening motions from the previous stones on the Snow White 8000, and then I'm going to begin doing some stropping of the edge on this stone to clean as much of the burr off as I can, and then we'll change up, do a quick change up on the substrates here, and I'm going to get a hard leather strop out to finish the edge on the leather strop. This knife is so thin right behind the edge, and here I am, you know, laying this over at quite a low angle, and the bevel, despite that fact, the bevel is so thin you can barely see it. So this knife is very thin behind the edge. I was looking forward to getting a caliper on there one day and see just exactly how thin it is right behind the edge. Okay, that's pretty good. One more sharpening pass on this side, and then just some stropping, and should be done. Blue number 1 steel is it's the purest of the blue steels. Super blue is less pure but more rugged. Blue number 1, and this is my first time sharpening blue number 1, by the way. Blue number 1 is sort of the blue equivalent to white steel number 1, which is the purest and finest of the Japanese steels. However, the blue steels have a few extra additives in the mix which improve their toughness and edge holding ability, and also somewhat reduce their reactivity to acids and the like. Okay, so now it's time to do a little stropping here on the stone to get things going. So holding the same sharpening angle, and going to just do some deburring and some nice shapes like the little J swirl at the tip, but thinking this one doesn't really need it. So this is all edge trailing right now, extremely light pressure, almost no pressure, just trying to remove as much of any little tiny bits of wire burr that may be at the edge. Feel that? Oh, that feels so good, so toothy. Okay, so let me rinse the knife off, dry it, and get ready for the leather strop. I have some baking soda in my water, which means, you know, during the sharpening process the blade spent some time wet, and that's okay, it's not going to rust. And we give this just a light little clean off. Now I'll only have one stone to clean when I'm done. Just rinse. Okay, now I'm going to remove the red brick, and I have, fortunately I had the wrong things set on top of the wrong things, but that's okay. I have a cinder block here that I really like to strop on because it's very heavy, it's very stable, and I'll put a dry towel on top of the cinder block, and then I have here my smooth leather strop, and this has just a little bit of diamond emulsion on it. And make sure this is going to stick nicely, not move around. Now my strop is a paddle strop. You can see the handle here, which means I can do this holding in my hand, but it's kind of a special sharpening occasion, so for this time I'm going to use it as a bench drop, and now that frees me to use both my hands guiding the angle of the knife for the leather strop. This knife probably should not need all that much dropping, but I'll give it 15 or 20 back and forth. The amount of stropping I do and the type of strop that I like to use is highly dependent on how I'm going to use the knife and the steel, and whenever I sharpen a new knife for the first time, I don't always get it exactly the right sharpening and stropping recipe the very first time out. So this will be sort of a test run. We'll see how I did on this, and then next time I work on it, I'll have a much better idea. And of course, after I cut some food with it and see how the edge behaves, is it not toothy enough? Is it too polished? You know, this and that. And all of these things can influence things in the sharpening process, like what gritstone I finish on, how much stropping I do, what kind of stropping, and so on. Let's get the cinder block out of here. Now have what I hope is a very, very crisp, clean edge on this. I can definitely see the bevel more now. Sharpening on that low angle, the blue steel at the edge is shiny enough that the little shiny bevel at the very edge is not showing so much. So get these towels out of here and let's cut test. And let's see, bring this camera up a little. That's better. Hey everybody. Okay, let's see how I did. If I made it better or worse. Oh. Wow. I don't know. Let's see. Let me get in here. This is so sharp. I mean, look at this. I'm not going for flash right now. I'm trying to show you how stupid sharp this is. I can't wait to chop some veggies with this. So I'll make some kind of a recipe for my dinner tonight. Probably come back and do some cutting. This is the hard way through the paper. So pretty soon I'll do some food prep cutting and also maybe some more like fancier paper cutting with the folded paper standing up and that sort of thing, and see what kind of ridiculous, fun, silly special effects I can get going with the cutting. But this is a really beautiful knife. At this moment I couldn't be happier with it. Can't wait to use this for some food prep, and hats off to Yoshikazu Tanaka for a beautiful, absolutely beautiful blade, and looking forward to many happy culinary adventures with this beauty. So until next time, you all take care. Thanks for watching, and peace out.